Hey y'all, iRick Guy here, and keep those great questions coming, and I'll keep trying to post videos like this, video responses to your questions, and that's what makes it fun for me, and hopefully it provides value for y'all. So several of y'all have asked, hey man, I've got the new DJI Air 2S. Oh, and by the way, if you don't have it yet, you can expand this video's description and then click the link there to find where to order it online. But it's like, hey man, I've got the new DJI Air 2S, or I'm about to buy the new DJI Air 2S. What's the best video mode you should use, or that I should use, and why? Well, I'm going to tell you about this. This drone, this DJI Air 2S, when you go to video options, you can do 5.4 up to 5.4K 30 frames per second, 5.4K 30 frames per second. Now that's really good, if you're filming and you want to capture a larger canvas. The best way to visualize the jump between 1080p, 2.7K, 4K, and 5.4K, the best way to visualize is a big piece of paper in front of you. Think of 5.4K as a very wide piece of paper. Think of 4K as still a wide piece of paper, but not as wide as the 5.4K. Think of 2.7K as considerably smaller, and then full HD 1920 by 1080 even a lot smaller than that. If you visualize it as a physical piece of paper, then it makes it easier to understand what I'm about to say. So if you film in 5.4K with the DJI Air 2S, the probability that you will publish that finished project in 5.4K is minimal. Meaning that you'll probably publish in 4K, or maybe you'll even publish in 1080 1920 by 1080 full HD, depending upon the requirements for your project. Where is that project going to go? So, for that reason, I use 4K 60. And we're going to take off now at 4K 60. I just hit record, and I'm going to show you how good the video quality at 4K 60 looks. Why do I use 4K 60? Oh, look at this. I'm going to kind of buzz in front of my face here so you can see the detail. Why am I using 4K 60 like I'm using right now? Because 4K 60 adds the value add of being able to retime. Do you want to speed up your video? Do you want to slow down your video within post-production? Filming at a higher frame rate, in this case 60 frames per second instead of 4K 30, adds a lot of value within post-production. So for that reason, I'm using 4K 60. And if I choose throughout this video to speed up and or slow down the clips, you will notice how smooth it is. And a lot of that is due to the fact that this is filmed at a higher frame rate, 60 frames per second. So, that's why with the DJI Air 2S, I choose to use 4K 60. Because if I'm not speeding up and slowing down, I'm not retiming the video, I'm just filming the video, as it, I'm filming and then I'm publishing just like it was filmed in 4K 60, it's fine. But if I choose to retime, I've got that extra frame rate built into the recorded video. How many times have you captured, maybe you were on vacation or something, or in a really nice location, how many times have you captured just an awesome, just an awesome situation, and then realized that, oh, you didn't have the most awesome camera, or maybe you just didn't have the best video settings. And then it's like, man, well, if I'd only captured that in, higher resolution or better frame rate, I could really do a lot more with this piece of video content. And for that reason, I think it's advantageous to go ahead and record at that higher frame rate. Now, I don't use 5.4K. The only reason I don't do a lot of cropping within post-production, video editing. So in other words, if you were filming a large environment and there were a lot of small objects within that environment, if you film that in 5.4K, that could provide value for you. The reason being is that in post-production, let's say there's boats, there's tiny little boats, and in post-production you want to spotlight one of those mini boats. Since you recorded in a greater resolution, 5.4K, again, think of a physically larger canvas. That's the best way I can tell you to visualize this. So think of a physically larger canvas, and that's what you've got to work with. So in a situation where you've got multiple small objects that you may want to showcase, you know, when you edit the video in post-production, you may want to use that 5.4K. Likewise, if you're using, what am I trying to say? If you're only going to publish in 1080p, then you might be fine with 4K 60. You might preference that extra frame rate, because then you would get a larger canvas than 1080p. You could still crop in on those, you know, in this fictitious example, you know, boats, a ton of boats side by side. But when you published in 1920 by 1080 full HD, you would still have, you know, a high, you know, 1920 by 1080 HD, because you film natively in that larger canvas in that 4K 60 frames per second. And that's, you know, that's another reason. There's so many different ways. So in short, and I know I probably confused y'all, and, you know, I appreciate all these questions, but in short, ask yourself, what are you going to use the footage for? Do you want to upload to YouTube in 4K? If so, then I would just film everything in 4K 60. Are you filming this for another purpose? Is it going to be on television? It may not be 4K. You know, the producer may say, oh, you know, we want to publish in 1920 by 1080. If you know going into it that your project's going to be 1920 by 1080, you could film natively in 1920 by 1080 at a really high frame rate, or you could do 4K 60, and that would provide you the luxury of being able to crop in and still having that 1920 by 1080 or greater resolution after you finish your edits within post-production. You know, so there's a lot of things to consider, man. I mean, this is, you know, there's no right or wrong answer. For the casual drone pilot, you know, someone like myself that's just going out and having a good time, what I would do, I would just keep it in 4K 60. And the reason being is that, I mean, it's a very usable format. It doesn't, and that's another point, if you're filming in 5.4K, it's going to consume more micro SD card space. So if you don't have a big card, or you know, or maybe you know, maybe you film a lot of longer duration videos, you know, filming in that higher resolution is going to eat up that storage space more quickly. So, you know, if you want just the, you know, the most basic, you know, just do 1920 by 1080 full HD, and then you know, and it doesn't take a lot of space to record that footage, and then you can publish in 1920 by 1080 HD, you know, full HD is what they call it. So, but yeah, I use 4K 60 because you'll notice on my channel, at least all of my most current videos, with the exception of the live streams, they're all in 4K. I've found 4K to be the sweet spot. You know, there's a lot of channels that have started doing 8K now, but I'm a little bit behind the curve there. I'm going to wait on 8K to become more mainstream as far as the home user's smart TV is concerned, because if I'm filming in 8K now, yeah, that could be great, you know, for better future-proofing content, but you know, it's an added expense that I can't, you know, I'm all about ROI, return on investment, and it's an added expense that I can't justify right now. That's filming in 8K. So yeah, this is really a phenomenal drone. Yeah, I love this DJI Air 2S, man. I mean, it's like every other drone that DJI puts out, except for the Inspire. I hate the Inspire. The Inspire's too big, it's too heavy, and I hope they discontinue it. But other than the Inspire, I love all of DJI's drones. I mean, they do a really good job. We're going to come in over here and do, let's see, we're going to go over these little low-hanging trees. But yeah, you know, just to recap, I think in today's world, you know, let's see, what January, February, March, April of 2021, I think 4K 60 is where it's at, man. I really do. See, there I am down there, narrating the action, man, in my grassy field. Woohoo! Let's go over this tree here. I love flying over trees. Woohoo! Yeah, those shots where you can kind of get close or perceived as close with your video, I mean, you can really get some exciting angles there. Or I shouldn't say exciting angles, I should say exciting immersion. Make the video feel more immersive. I mean, it's there's a boat down there. I'm gonna go by this boat. I'm like, hey boat, what's up boat? What you doing, boat? They are fishing for fish. Oh yeah, gotta get some fish, man. Fish are good to eat. Can't beat it. Whoa. Yeah, I love this. I love this drone. The Air 2S is, you know, I wish they would come up with a way to make this USB rechargeable. I mean, granted, the controller is with USB-C, but what about the drone battery itself? That would be awesome if the Air 2S was USB rechargeable. That's what I still love about the DJI Mini 2, is being able to, you know, recharge it by way of USB. That's so nice. Because if you're using solar battery banks, it's easy to just go in and you know, recharge your drone, especially when you're off the grid backpacking, that sort of stuff, and you don't have access to electrical outlets. Provides a lot of value. There we go, hopping over the trees, man. I tell you, this 1-inch sensor on this thing, man, it does a phenomenal job. It really does. Something that I include in all my videos is always practice safe and responsible drone use. Don't just practice safe and responsible drone use. Be a drone evangelist. Preach safe and responsible drone use. Because if we're not all safety conscious drone users, then this hobby may cease to exist. I mean, there's a lot of people that you know, don't understand the technology, and they make rookie mistakes. And then there's a lot of people with ill intent. Two different types of animals. So, you know, if you preach safe and responsible drone use, it may help, it may prolong this hobby. Hopefully this hobby never goes away, but you know, as we know, anything that has the ability to be abused often becomes banned, and that's just a sad reality. But I never want to see this hobby banned, man. It's too much fun. I mean, it's just getting out there and low battery, and that's something else I recommend. I mean, I never encourage anyone to fly over water, because if you do, you're probably going to lose your drone. But always remember, wind in one direction could be stronger. So in this scenario where I was going out over water, if I didn't prepare for that, you know, potentially you could be so far out that you couldn't have enough battery to return because of the wind direction. So I always put my low battery threshold. I'm at 15% battery right now. I like to have a little bit of breathing room. You know, I don't like to take it down to the wire. You know, I'm not out here to try to lose a drone. But man, just the flight dynamics of this thing, as you just saw, I mean, it's just so smooth. If you've flown any other DJI drone, it's probably not a surprise. But I mean, they've packed with the Air 2S. They have packed, you know, pro level features in there thanks to that 1-inch sensor camera. I mean, it's a total game changer. And again, this video I just wanted to talk about the resolution. So if you don't really know what to use, dude, use 4K 60. Now, if you've got a really old computer and you plan to edit on your computer the videos, then you might want to do 1920 by 1080, because older computers may or may not be able to handle that 4K video editing. And if you have any questions about the types of computers that I use for my video editing, just comment below or visit my website. I've got all of that listed there. Thanks for your viewership. Be sure to subscribe, youtube.com/irixguy. And again, as a reminder, always be safe and responsible. Be your own drone evangelist. Preach safe and responsible drone use. Let's enable this hobby to continue to exist. So with that being said, thanks everyone. And if you're looking for the DJI Air 2S, any of the various bundles, the accessories, other drones too, expand this video's description and then click the link there and you can find it all there. Thanks for your viewership and y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, Captain IRixGuy here. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to subscribe. It's youtube.com/IRixGuy. And ring that bell icon when you do to be notified whenever I post another video. Thanks for your viewership and y'all have a good day.